Hey everyone, welcome back to the Highnote channel. Are you one of the many real estate agents wondering how to take your business to the next level? Namely from rookie to top producer to team leader, then to a brokerage owner and finally selling your brokerage. Whatever stage you're at, this is the place for you as we regularly deliver great tips and content on how to get you to the next stage of your career, whatever stage that is. We provide this information for free. And I'm just walking you guys through my personal journey as a rookie agent to the #2 condo agent in San Francisco, to a team leader and eventually owner of Climb Real Estate, which we led to an acquisition by Realogy. Today, I'm founder and CEO of Highnote, the latest and greatest sales platform for the real estate industry. All I ask in return is that if you get anything out of this, do me a favor, you hit that like button. And if you want to keep getting tips and regular content, hit the subscribe button as well. It's very helpful for our channel. Drop a comment below and let me know what other questions we can answer for you. We always appreciate the feedback. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching, and we hope you get a lot out of this.
All right. I'm super excited to have Kenny here today. I've known this guy for like 8 years, watched him just absolutely crush it. He works hard, he understands it, he implements, and he executes. And watching what you've done over the years, man, has been absolutely impressive. I know that you're definitely tech enabled, which is cool. But you are the next generation, of mega agent, and I know you actually are already. So I just want to share with the Highnote users like all the different things that you've been able to do with Highnote. So before we get started, a quick little introduction about yourself, like how long you've been at it, what you've been doing.
Sure. Thanks for having me today. Good connecting with you again. I don't think I've seen you since like Inman. Kenny Chung here. I go by Fast Agent. I grew the Fast Agent brand over 10 years ago to the Team Fast brand 3 years ago. And now I run Fast Real Estate. Fast Real Estate was the #2 GCI sales volume team at eXp Realty last year. This is my third brokerage, eXp Realty. We came here about 2 years and 4 months ago, and we moved over to eXp Realty with a sales team of 10 agents. As of today, we're about 320 team members. We've lost almost 100 agents along the way. So we've actually recruited almost 400 team members in the last 28 months. And a lot of it has to do with our systems, our social media, our systems, and Highnote has been a big part of that for ease on how we're presenting ourselves. Last year we did 693.9 million. This year we've already closed over $360 million, and we have about $90 million pending. So we're close to over $500 million in sales in the first less than 6 months of this year.
Is your goal to hit the billion?
No, my goal last year was to hit 2 billion. I didn't factor in attrition, but we're pacing at we're close to, we're pretty much at double what we're doing last year, short like 5%. So we're like 95. I don't know. I'm not a numbers guy. I just do sales. If we did a pretty shitty job or average job, we'll probably close about 1.4 billion this year. But a lot of our growth, most business is done in the latter part of the year, and a lot of the growth is going to be done through recruiting. This year, we've actually recruited about over $220 million in production, new production. We have a pipeline of usually about $150 million of agents at any given time. So I'm completely out of production, 99.9% out of production. I listed 1 home this year. Last year, I sold 21 homes. I was on 21 contracts. This year, I've sold 1 home. But my team has sold 500.
It's cool to see, right? Like the agent production is something that I've seen, right? I see this on social media that you're really driving that cart, right? Like your production per agent. And I know some people in the recruiting business, whether you're KW, EXP, I mean, everybody's really recruiting. I know Remax agents are trying to do it, right? Everybody, it has that for some part, but you are more on that production side. You don't just seem to take everyday people, which I think is cool.
Things have changed. So we attract, and like recruiting, I think is an active, being proactive and going out and reaching out. It's kind of like you're cold calling, you're door knocking, you're open houses, you're going out right? Attracting is you're just doing things and people see what you're doing and you're marketing, messaging it. We do very light recruiting. I think we maybe recruit 2 new agents a month or through like a real estate school or whatever. It's June right now. In March, we brought in 25 agents. April, we brought in 25 agents. In May, we brought in 17. So last month was actually a slower month for us, which is still a great month. So we attract, and then like, what does it mean to attract? Well, you need to be able to show all the assets and all the things that you have. And what, like I talk to other team leaders all the time about recruiting. Especially, I mean, it's literally my favorite topic to do. Like how are you getting people in? But yet to do that, you have to show them what you have. So we're really good at showing people what we have. And we're really, we do take many new agents, but happy to say that we did an audit of our business in the last 2 years. It just so happens that our average agent, this is how you calculate average agent productivity, by the way. You take the number of agents you had in January, in February, and March. So whether it's like 10, then 20, then 25, and 30, you take on those numbers, you divide it by 12, and then you take your sales and divide that. So 2 years ago, our average agent did 6.9 transactions. Last year, we also did 6.9 transactions.
Yeah, you guys, your team is social. You know, like I came to one of your guys' events one night, and like Mark and I, right? And so many of your agents were like selfieing. I mean, we walked into this and we're like, what the heck? What is going on? But then we looked around and we looked at the demographic and the people, I was just like, I get it, right? They're just
80%
creating.
of our business is organic. Yeah, we're like 20% online lead base with 15% being Zillow. So 5% being, your other sites, but being an 80% organic company is a really big deal for us. How do you stay in front of people, right? Especially during COVID and shelter in place and, people not socializing much, the only way to get connected is social.
How long have you been on Highnote? Like, I think that you were an early adopter in that tool.
I was probably I'm pretty sure I was one of the very, very first users because of my previous relationship with Mark. Mark was he was in the broker. I was at Client Real Estate for 5 years. Yeah. Favorite company until I had to start my own because they closed down. But Mark was the CEO or one of the founders there. So we worked closely on a lot of tech tools. He had the whole Client Labs thing. So they're always constantly innovating, bringing new products to sample and try out. And I got to be a beta tester on many of those products. And Highnote was one of those.
In being somebody that gets technology, even though Highnote is probably one of the simplest tools kind of out there in my personal opinion, what attracted you to that tool? What was it you were like, yeah, I could totally see that, right? Like, I want to be able to use that.
I think it's the ease of use, the impact it has, and the visual aesthetics. Essentially, it's a pretty simple tool. It's a digital presentation, but there was not any companies in that space. Rather than sending someone a spreadsheet or a list of things, you can kind of, it's like a pitch deck, but unless you're in a VC world, like who knows how to create pitch deck, like
right?
Or it's too fancy. Like here's my things. Okay, what things do you have? And that's where you get into it with how to utilize Highnote. There's a couple of sectors, different functions most people use it for. I primarily use it for recruiting.
It's interesting because people send these emails, right? They got attachments and they got 3 paragraphs, they got links to their YouTube, and you're kind of sending people all over. And if you ever send somebody an email, especially a large email, working with a buyer, working with a seller, right? Yeah. You know how you click the download button and then you're like, well, where did the document go? And then you're like, well, where am I in going through all of this stuff? Especially when you're sending somebody a bunch of stuff. That's where I thought it was just brilliant, right? I was like, holy crap, you can kind of go through each, put a video in there. You're not sending them over to YouTube. You're not trying to send them to your website. Yeah. It's all in line. It's mobile. So you could even text them that link, right? And I was just like, it's somewhere in between email and presentation. It lies in between. It's like this middle of really effective marketing, but also data driven, right? Like you can utilize that data. So I thought that was one of the things that attracted me. And I've been in the real estate tech space for, almost 15 years now, working with agents, working with ISAs, working with team leaders, brokers, franchise, simple and effective and scalable, right?
The order is really important because it's like a presentation, right? If you were to send an email with 5 attachments and your clients don't know which one to open, it really screws up the flow. And the messaging you're gonna try to get across is not gonna be as concise or clear. So it's like essentially you're writing a blog, like having someone read a blog, but you're diving in each step of the way. For us, if you were to look at our pitch deck, if you guys want to check out our pitch deck, it's at jointeamfast.com. Our pitch deck is the very first item on that is an article about why we chose this company and we came at, because that sets the tone of the word ESP, there might be some negative connotations on that. People, oh, what recruiters? Yeah, this is a recruiting deck. Yeah, so like it tells the story of why we selected this company. And then next thing is, one of the very first things like that is our organizational chart. So, hey, this is why we came here. This is our company. We actually have about 31 staff members right now, maybe more, with half of them being overseas. And then we dive into the more nitty gritty stuff. Like, hey, here's our weekly team meetings. We have a Highnote consisting of YouTube's great, but YouTube, we upload all kinds of stuff on there. We do cultural videos and other stuff, not diving into that, but we've been recording our weekly team meetings for almost 2 years now, since the middle of when COVID, and we had only 20 people on a team meeting. So every team meeting has been recorded. Now we actually have it all on a Highnote on the presentation. So essentially it's a playlist. That playlist is part of our main recruiting Highnote. So when someone goes there, after they learn our organizational chart, then they watch our weekly team meetings, and then we record our coaching calls. We do coaching calls 3 times a week. It shows our locations. Right then and there, they understand who works here, who we are, our culture. They can see what we talk about each week in the meetings, and then office location. This is where we're at, and then go into our roster and our tech tools. So an agent, even considering looking at our company, has access to all that. I can't name another company right now where I can see all their team meetings, all their office locations in one place, every staff member they have in one convenient location. It's like a really good Highnote recruitment presentation is however structure you want to have it. It's like we're really trying to get people down a rabbit hole. Right. So I want someone to spend like the next I don't know, on the weekend, I want them to spend 8 hours knowing who we are. So by the time we get on the call, it's like, yeah, I saw everyone who works there. I understand who you guys are. And so that call is going to be a lot easier than, not a cold appointment, but if we were interviewing for appointment and I was whatever brokerage, we come in, I have to do a 30-minute spiel about that's not the best way to recruit. You got to ask good questions, but that stuff is important. You just can't bombard someone. We found that early on when we were saying, yeah, we have this tool and this tool and this tool and this tool, and we do this and this and this, and we have 11 offices and this is who works there. They're like, how does it help my business? But if they've done the pre-research, they come in, okay, then we can actually ask them, no, what are you looking for in your business and how can we help you?
I think that people are, in my experience, I think people join different brokerages, right? And I watched you go through the interview process when you left Klein, right? I mean, you went to them all, man. I saw you at the Sotheby's. I saw you at everybody, right? And then you found somebody that fit you. And not every brokerage is perfect for anybody, or for everybody, but like typically somebody joins a brokerage for what I say one of 4-ish reasons, right? Money, right? Is this the right compensation plan for me, right? Culture. Am I going to not just do okay, but am I going to thrive here? Am I going to fit in? Are we going to help each other, right? Can I see myself growing in this environment? Leadership, I think, is there as well, right? Do I believe in the leadership and Team Fast and what you're doing? Do I believe in corporate leadership, et cetera, where the company is going? And then last but not least, technology, right? Now, people value one of those 4 things for different reasons. And I think that when you see people recruit, they just instantly, vomit, by you telling the story, right? And doing it like a story, walking them through on their own terms, they're able to pick and choose through that process that you've provided them based upon what's important. And then I got to assume that you're using analytics on the back end to see, yeah, like Randy clicked on X, Y, and Z.
No, not the main pitch deck we use, because then the analytics I think is more important for depending on how fast and how many people you're talking to, right? Like last year I did almost 500 recruiting appointments. Like Join Team Fast is a generic link. We send it out and whoever sees it. But if you were probably doing one-on-one appointments when we were starting, I think analytics would be more important. Because then you would see if that person even clicked on conversation. I'm sure they'll click on conversation. I would see if they even clicked on corporate leadership. Maybe they don't care. They might want to see what offices you have. But the thing is, like, it's very hard to see a company right now. Like, I'm actually going to a 8-hour KW training event today with Gene Rivers. Tomorrow, I invited myself and the owner that has let me go exclusively to Intero Top Producer event. But I know those companies because from like the front. I mean, you go on the websites, you learn something, but I can't tell you who works at. I cannot tell you the staff members who works at KW Oakland or Intero Fremont. I know who the owner is, And I know maybe some of the agents, but like, see, like, so that if I was shopping, I was like, okay, I think I know these 2 things from the 5 things you just mentioned. This company, maybe Intero, I know who the agents are, but I don't know any of their stuff. I don't know any of their tech tools. I don't know any of the culture. I don't know any of the leadership because there's nowhere to be found. So what we've done is we have that all presented in one place. And that's why we're recruiting at the pace we are, because people want to discover this stuff.
Aside from recruiting, do you have your agents now using Highnote for their listing presentations or pre-listing presentations or getting offers or anything like that?
Yeah, that was I mean, before joining this company, EXP, and I wasn't. At Climb, I actually brought on about 65 people, so I was recruiting Climb, but I had no pitch deck. I just naturally did it through social media. But I used Highnote to do I was doing 150 listing presentations a year, over 100 in person. And it was all decked out. So our listing presentation was pretty strong. It had our a bio profile, some accolades, in order, and I'm jumping all over the place because I haven't done one in a long time. It would have your listing presentation, your CMA, your single page CMA. 2 things: your spreadsheet, your single page CMA, a seller net sheet, a marketing timeline, and then I said brochures, postcards, your Zillow profile, your Home Light Awards, whatever you might have. And that was kind of the order you're going through, which was actually the same order if in person. We use these boxes. And the first thing you have, I wouldn't have the listing agreement in the presentation because you're looking to close them. That's in person, listing agreement was at the very top. And then the next thing was a CMA. And after that was a pricing and spreadsheet. And after that was brochure. Why? In that order, in person, this is not a Highnote thing. Because if they're ready to sign a listing agreement, why go through the pricing? Why go through the marketing? And why go through staging repairs? If they're not ready to sign, then you go to the pricing. So you unveil one step at a time. There's no reason to get all the way to the bottom of the listing presentation. And if you're looking at the packet we offer, because if they trust you already and trust your judgment and they're a yes and they agree to the price, I don't need to go in the stage and repair. They trust that you know what you're doing. But if you're fighting and competing for that, then the deeper you go. If they're good with the price, then no need to go into other stuff. So same thing with the Highnote presentation. You kind of got to tell the story of going down there. If they're impressed by your bio, then experience, right? Experience results, then great. Then maybe not. Then they got to see the pricing. They get the pricing, great. Then a lot of people just look at the pricing and look at the bio, and that's it. They don't even look at marketing because your company is reputable, your track record is there, and it looks shiny enough already. They don't need to see all these other postcards. So that could be how you present that presentation. At the end, it's you're boosting about yourself, your reviews and all that. If you're in front of them, they already done the research. But as a reminder, maybe this is where you found me. This is my Zillow profile. This is my Yelp page. This is my whatever. So that was the order of this presentation. Yeah, we were sending those things out quick. And then I had a first assistant set those all up for me. At one point, I was winning 80% of my listings. And as I started doing more and more, that number dropped later in the year. But on good years, I had 60 listings. I was a top buyer's agent in Oakland for the longest, and for units up until more recently. I was 10 years the highest buyer's agent. I also had a buyer's presentation. I can't remember what that looks like because I literally have not worked with buyers in years now. But listing, I was in the top 1%. I was top 5 in Oakland all the time. So that was a powerful thing to send, where I would send that, and then if I had time, but that started falling out earlier. The physical presentation I just mentioned, we would actually send that in the mail ASAP, UPS, get there within 4 days. Hey, and I purposely did not, things move faster later, but I purposely try to book my appointments a week later to give us more time to prep and tell them, hey, I need to do some more research for you. And then that way you send your Highnote, and then you send your physical presentation. They have an extra week to research you and dive deep. So by the time you get there, ideally your packet is on the kitchen counter, and then you pull up your presentation. And I actually work with many agents. I was pretty impressed. I rely on my packet because that's my systematic way of doing it. This is how I do it every single time, and that's how I want. And it's also easy to teach because I grew it when I had no team members. I was mentoring agents, but I went from 1 to 10 team members that year. All my team members did exactly what I did. This is the packet. This is how you present. This is what you talk about. And it's literally just what I told you. But then when I started going with all the presentations with other experienced agents and offices, not on my team, a lot of them are more casual. They'll just talk. You can't teach someone to talk. I was training a team, right? Because they don't have the experience, the rapport, the know-how, the scripts, all that. I would bring them with me, and then they would do the same thing. But then some of my co-agents would actually just bring an iPad or a computer and just have my Highnote. They literally didn't bring anything. So that seemed weird to a lot of people. But during COVID 2 years ago, around this time, you couldn't bring physical material, so you actually had to get really good at the craft. Which, when you didn't have physicals, like I actually wonder what other companies did, because if you can't bring physical stuff to touch, you're not supposed to touch anything, and you have masks on and gloves, like what do you have? So we brought our Highnote. So we went through the iPad.
Yeah, and that's something that the client, like in a link, right? They can forward off to their spouse, right? It can be texted. And I mean, I don't think we're going back, right, to those days where you're dropping that stuff off. I think people are pretty familiar with it.
Once a 100-page CMA, like how many appointments do you actually use that? But we brought it just in case, but like no one's actually opening that whole thing up. It's kind of like clunky.
Yeah, and I don't think that, I mean, like, why even endure the extra costs, right? Because like, if you have a digital listing presentation or a digital flyer of like some of your past work, people can see how beautiful it is on a computer screen, right? They don't need to like physically do it. You can say we use heavy cardstock in the description, right? Like all of these different things, and then you're not printing out this package that's like this. That thick package looks like work for a lot of people. Like if you were to give this to me, Kenny, to list my house, like I would be like, holy smokes, I gotta go through all this, right? Versus like that link, I can be sitting there waiting for my lunch, and I can jam through a couple things.
I think you guys check out bit.ly/sell your home faster. That's my generic listing presentation. And the thing is like, all like walking you through like the physical stuff, right? That is something I think new agents need to have as structure. But I remember like writing some IG story about this, and I got so many responses. You're relying on that. You're not skill-based agent. You're a physical thing based agent. Like if you didn't have that, you'd be screwed. What if you were driving back from a trip from LA, and all of a sudden somebody calls you, hey, I just met with 3 agents. I found you on Yelp. I want to talk to you. I'm going to pick an agent tomorrow. Can you meet with me? You're like, shit. Okay. I'll drive to your house. I'll get there in 2 hours. Now what? If your whole pitch or spiel or presentation is built based on having stuff in front of you to hold and touch, you're screwed. Like how do you become a stronger agent being, up here and what you're saying? Well, if you had a go-to like this Bitly, again, that thing hasn't been updated in like 2 years, but if you had a digital listing presentation already go, all the presentations are the same for each house except the CMA and the spreadsheet and the address and the name and all that, but like 90% is the same thing. So we have that, there you go. So in fact, when someone contacted me to sell their house, like, hey, check this link out, I'll see you. Like, how long does it really take to analyze a house, right? If you're very experienced, like maybe 15 minutes, but if you're newer or the house is weird, maybe like half an hour. But imagine like that was the process I have when I had a property. I did the CMA. I always did the CMA unless my agents were really experienced, but I did CMA. I sent it to my team. They printed everything out for me. I went to the office. I would pick up multiple boxes at a time. Like, okay, I have 3 presentations today. They're ready to go. You set up my Highnote. Great. So like normally an agent would take like 2 hours, like to print listing agreement, their CMA, organize everything, create the Highnote. Well, my Highnote is 90% done and my package is same every time. So I would squeeze that 90 minutes that typically most agents would spend, including myself, to get a really specific listing presentation, package ready, get prepped mentally, all that. Well, I would get that done in like 15 minutes. I go there, do CMA, and I run that. I just go meet the clients.
It scales, and it's custom.
Yeah, it doesn't feel generic because it's your stuff on it.
I want to be respectful of your time. What are some of your best practices for recruiting right now?
Events, we're going to plan to do 100 events this year. We're actually doing a top producers stat panel, but we're not trying to recruit a panelist. We just want people in our space. We have 8 retail locations. You can check my Instagram if you want to see them, but we have really, really great locations, like cool looking offices. So the thing is like getting people in front of you and don't hard sell them. So getting people in our space, have a conversation. We use Slack at a very high level. Started at a client, we have like 800 people on our Slack, probably like 350 are active. On Slack, we talk a lot on there. There's like 1,000 messages, market updates, training. Every single training I find, doesn't matter who, like this talk will probably be on there. is on Slack. We invite people to our coaching calls Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We invite people to our team meetings. We engage with them on social media. I have a hit list of like 150 people right now, and I've talked to 40 of those in the last week. So that's my CRM for recruiting. Just get them, just really staying in front of people, adding value. I'm doing a big team Cabo trip. It's not cheap, all inclusive Hard Rock Cabo. So we're doing that on July 11th through 15th. Last year, like the Build Conference, ESP is a big recruiting conference teaching people how to recruit. I bought 50 hotel rooms. Delta COVID hit, so 18 people backed out. I ended up selling 8 rooms, but I actually had a group of over 30 something people with me. So that event cost me like 70 G's, but 20 G's was an open bar. But we immediately recruited 3 agents within the week. And this year, from that event, we brought on like 3 big hitters from that. So that event has paid itself off. So events are key. So Hard Rock Cabo, we're paying our top producers to come. Same concept. Last year, I paid for the room if my agents brought someone, and then they paid for the tickets. So half buy-in. So this year in Cabo, I actually invited like over 15 guests to come. 10 of them couldn't make it, but I'm buying rooms for 5 people to come. So to not to recruit them, but to get them in their environment to see if this is something they like. Yeah, and then I'm paying for half the rooms for my agents to bring on someone. So if recruiting is just getting in front of people. Too many people try to recruit people and meet with them, interview, or like try to trick them into a lunch and it turns into a recruiting appointment. People do not like that. Like I hear that a lot. They're really upset about that. Or if you or when you have a meeting with someone and they say no and they go somewhere else, you get pissed off. But no, we play the long game. That's why I have a list of so long. People go somewhere else. I still stay engaged. I still support them. And I don't care what company they're at. Like, and then, hey, I saw this new article you might like. Hey, this new tool, like cool new tech tool I have. Social media, I talk to 100 different people a day. This is where I live at. And I'm always adding value and teaching different things that I learned. Like from this, like I'm excited about this. I think this is a super note I ordered from China. It's like a Remarkable, but it's a different brand. There's supply chain issues. So my thing was like, I'm gonna start. This is something I did before too. When I go to these conferences, I would take pages and pages of notes. And after that, I would text all my top agents like, yo, I just came from Tom Ferry or Jeff Lag or Inman. This is my page of notes. Here's a Google Doc up together. Here's what I learned. So something I'm planning to do too is start taking more digital notes, like from this 8-hour team building KW conference today. Have that, and then later teaching my team, which is one thing, but later somehow offer it to people. Hey, I'm gonna do a session in the office next Wednesday for 1 hour. I'm gonna do a 1 hour recap of this 8-hour event I went to. And then tomorrow I'm gonna interrogate things. So same thing, like, where are you gonna get that training? You're not going to 8-hour training. You can come to Kenny's 1 hour training, and there's no cost. I'm not selling you anything. But if you see our office, you see my agents, and there's food and White Claws and all this stuff, you might like our environment.
Well, yeah, that's a culture thing, right? So like, you're not doing what we see so often, which is just that hard sell, right? Like, like the Remax agent saying, well, join us because we're the #1 brand, or Sotheby's saying, well, if you don't join us, you're never going to get luxury listings, right? Like you're basically learning about the person that you're dealing with, right? Whether you're the right organization or not. You care about the human, you want to get to know them, you want to bring some value to them. Hey, if I can ever help you out. And then if they do, you send them.
I'm a recruiter. The thing is, like, people don't want to admit it. Like, people leave their companies. The example, like Side, I bring up Side kills it. They brought over like 1.8 billion on team yesterday. All the agents, team leaders from wherever company they go to Side, and now you're a broker owner, right? But now you're a recruiter. But people want to, recruiter just has a really, it sounds like a dirty word, but I jump in front of it. Like, I'm a recruiter. So people think this magic pitch deck is going to kill it. Your tools is going to kill it. No, you need to go out there face to face and meet people. The thing is, like, most companies don't do that very well because they're corporate. The owner, the broker, the sales director, manager, whatever it might be. And there's a recruiter. Like, there's a hired recruiter. Well, that recruiter doesn't really know the culture. They just recruit. So you want to be a good recruiter for a team leader, you got to get your hands dirty. You got to be out there, get in front of people. I always tell my team, like, you guys try to be recruiters and agents, but your secret, you don't go to any events. You don't go to you don't go to any of your local association events. You don't go to any gala dinners. You don't travel to your conferences, but yet you're wondering why you can't recruit. Right. I fly over a third of the year. Like, I'm out.
Yeah, that's when we get to hang out, right? We're in Vegas or New York or doing these things. So that's awesome, man. I really appreciate all the time that you spent with us today. When somebody says, hey, Kenny, I am actually interested, I'd love to see like more of what you're doing. Is that when you send them over your stuff?
Oh, rather than, yeah, call Kenny Fast. Like that's how we booked. And then I have a callkennyfast.com. I have a Zoom Calendly link on my Instagram Linktree thing. I have it in my email. I have it everywhere. So if someone wants to talk, that's the beginning of the fun. They're like, oh yeah, let's book a time. What time's good for you? Use this, and then boom, something appears in my calendar, and we chat. And then whether they're not ready to go or not, I'll still add them Slack and say, hey, come to the team meeting. Hey, this is something you should come to dad's panel next week, and so on. It's literally
and this works for Sotheby's. It works for Remax or Coldwell Banker or Side or whomever, right? I mean, like it's still the same thing. And again, if somebody's going to go here or go there, right? You put all that stuff in your Highnote, you send it over to them, and then you're not sitting there like, pounding them saying, hey, listen, this is why you need to join. If you don't, it doesn't make sense. Like you're soft selling it and you're bringing people to you versus going out and trying to pull people in, which is what I've respected about your business, like how I've seen it grow over the last couple of years, right? I remember your Instagram stories going into those offices and then now watching your stories, like how you're building out. It's like, this is a real organization, like Team Fast is a monster at this point. So congratulations. That's
Thank you.
Incredible. So if anybody does want to get in contact with Kenny, just go to...
Oh, and we have a really cool Instagram, the Fast Agents. You can see us, the community, and then reach me directly, Kenny_Fast on Instagram. I'm always on Instagram.
Cool. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for your time today.
Cool. Thanks, Randy.
You bet.
Want to keep getting tips? Hit the subscribe button as well. Thanks for watching, and we hope you get a lot out of this.